Hi, this is Michelle Rumschlag, Naturalist, and welcome to Virtual Experiences with the Hancock Park District. It's Friday, so it's hit the trails, and today you're joining me on the south side of Litzenberg Memorial Woods. You might be familiar with the north side, which has our 1847 McInnes house and the activity barn and trails. So we're on the south side, which has just a lot of habitat great for wildlife. So we've got our little pond here, there's some wetlands throughout. The river's on the south side of the property, and it's just great for a lot of things like birds. Just standing here, we've been seeing and hearing some different warblers. We just saw a male American redstart fly through. I'm hearing wood thrush, I'm hearing cardinals, house wrens, just a lot of activity that's going on. So if you're into birding or just seeing new places in the park, I invite you to come out. Might want to wear some boots or rubber boots because the trail sometimes can be muddy or wet depending if it's been raining. But definitely come try it out. It's a lot of great place to, again, look for wildlife in the parks. So one of the wildlife that we're talking about today, and we've been hearing as we've been standing here, is called the gray tree frog. And so this is one of our resident tree frogs that we have living inside our Discovery Center at Oakwoods Nature Preserve. And he's going to move around, and you can see they're on the glass. So being a tree frog, they have sticky toe pads that enable him to climb. So like the name implies, he does live on trees, he lives on bushes, and he's a terrestrial frog. So he doesn't have to be in water all the time. They like to live in that woods. And the yellow part you're seeing under their legs is a thought that, you know, scientists think that maybe they're using that, he is a male, to kind of warn others. They might flash that leg part because you normally don't see it when they're sitting kind of all kind of gathered up like that, but he might, again, move his leg and catch that little bit of yellow, maybe warning somebody else not to get too close. Also take a look at the coloration on his back. And so they have great camouflage, and they can change their coloration depending on what their background is. So he's blending into tree bark really, really well. Picture the lichen that's on the trees, and so he can, if he sits still, you probably won't see him. And he can change that color to blend in if it's a darker tree or something that's lighter. You're probably going to hear him before you see him. And so I do have an identifier with me, and I can play for you what they will sound like. So maybe you've already heard them. So this is their sound. So kind of a burp kind of noise, and it carries. It's kind of hard to think that this little frog that is about 1/4 of an inch to 2 inches is making that loud noise. So of course, it's the males calling to the females. This is the time of year when they're doing that, and they can call even throughout the summer. So they're hoping to bring in a female. The male has a territory, and they will defend that territory against other males. It was funny reading that they will wrestle, they will fight, and headbutt each other to protect that territory if some other male is trying to intrude or maybe take over from somebody else. So he calls in the female. Then they will go to a water area. That's where she will lay the eggs. And she can lay about 1,000 to 2,000 eggs, with of course only a few of those eventually making it to adulthood. Like most amphibian eggs, they're a gelatinous mass, and it depends on the temperature of the water of how fast they'll hatch. So it's anywhere between 3 to 7 days. So with this weekend being warmer, they might be hatching here if they were laid maybe last week or earlier this week. So they're a tadpole then for about 2 months. So in that time, they're metamorphosizing. If you think about a tadpole, it's just a tail and kind of swimming around, and they eat plant material. So they will develop arms and legs, they will lose their tail, and they will change from having gills to breathe underwater to lungs. So all frogs will have those lungs and become, again, terrestrial, where they're not living in the water or need the water, I guess, to survive. I have a little bit of water in here just to kind of keep them moist, but because he is a terrestrial frog, he just stays in the shade. He doesn't have to be in water all the time like a green frog or bullfrog. And yes, floating in the bottom there is a little bit of scat or poop that he did on the way over here to Litzenberg. today. So what does he eat? Insects, snails, slugs, spiders, probably anything he can find along the ground, on the side of the tree, or on those leaves. Who eats him? Raccoons, possums, skunks, and snakes. Again, animals that are either on the trees or crawling around along the ground there. So he's checking stuff out there. So definitely come out to the parks. You might be hearing again the frogs or some of the other frogs. Again, just kind of wear appropriate weather gear. It's raining out a little bit now, but the animals don't seem to mind that. So join us on Monday for Discovery Stories. And thanks for joining us, and have a great day.